Mark, thank you for joining us today. So let's start with the name change to Mercia Asset Management and the reason behind this.
So it's an interesting question. So the strategy hasn't changed. The name has changed, but the strategy hasn't changed at all, Scott. And the strategy, of course, remains we have managed funds with a very strong regional emphasis, and we support businesses locally and then selectively bring those across onto our balance sheet. We supported something like 140 businesses last year and brought two of those onto our balance sheet, and we will continue to do that going forwards.
Mark, what is the fund under management growth target for Mercia?
So I look at this more as an assets under management than funds under management. We class funds under management as our third-party funds. So we're managing other people's money, third-party funds, and that's funds under management. And we combine that with our own balance sheet activity where we're using our own proprietary capital to invest selectively in those businesses. So today we have about 380 million in funds under management and a balance sheet strength of about 120, 125. So £500 million of assets under management. And our aspirations over the next 3 years is to grow that to £1 billion in assets under management.
And who do you consider to be your listed peers now?
So we find ourselves in a peer group that are qualified and classified as specialist asset managers. And those specialist asset managers have a strength, a core internally, that they then leverage to their advantage with the managed funds and with their own balance sheet activities. There are a number of those specialist asset managers out there, from Intermediate Capital, Gresham House, 3i. A number of people will know of 3i, again, specialist asset managers, and we sit and position ourselves within that group.
So it's obviously been a good year. What have been your star investments over the period?
So I'm often asked, which are your best businesses, what are your star investments, which I always find very unfair because that's a bit like asking which of my 2 children do I prefer. I think what's really relevant and important to note is that of our 10 assets, 8 of those have had fair value gains in the year, which is a great demonstration of the progress and growth actually of more than just 1 or 2 assets, but actually of the portfolio, what we would describe as a very nicely diversified portfolio. And names that spring out straight away are nDreams RVR developer, Oxford Genetics, a synthetic biology business, Intechnica, the bot detection business, and VoxPopMe. So there's 4 of the 10, but there are many coming through. And of course, below those 10, the younger businesses, we expect those to come up as well in the mix over the next coming sort of 12 to 24 months.
So finally, Mark, what can we expect to see over the next 6 to 12 months for Mercia Asset Management?
Over the next 6 to 12 months, and this really reflects an internal purpose that we state, which is from the regions, in the regions, to the regions, is we want to move to being the number 1 provider of capital across the asset classes we manage, which are debt, private equity, venture. We're being the number 1 provider of that. We are the number 2 provider today. We've built the business. So the business is there to scale. So we're at approximately £500 million of assets under management. We can scale this business now to over £1 billion without having to scale headcount. Infrastructure is built, local presence is built, and that again is recognised and reflected in the fact that we're seen now as the 2nd most active investor regionally and also the 4th most active investor nationally. So I'm confident that we can meet our intended goals moving forwards. And of course, one of those goals is to move this business to a profitable basis. And again, we have a very clear path to achieve profitability for the group over the next 2 to 3 years.